Hello, vinyl community. Jerry here with Dark Side Vinyl with a submission into the Vinyl Tag 2021. The Vinyl Tag 2020 was the first video that I ever submitted for a vinyl uh, community type video. So it seems rather fitting that I do another one. I was hoping that somebody would start it up. I was wondering. I didn't know how that went. Like I said, I'm new into this, so not even been a year yet. But I was glad to see that it finally got started up, and that was looks like it was started by Tales from the Crate, and I'll put a link if I'm able to do that in my description to his channel. So I will get started on my submission here. The first question says a discovery in 2020, and I'm not exactly sure if this was, if this counts. I had heard the name already, but I had never really, I had never bought any albums, never um, had listened to much of this artist, and until this year, and then I really got into him. And I know he's been around forever, and some of you will groan, and it's a travesty, I know. But anyway, that's John Prine, and I really got into him this year. I missed out on the box set. I've talked about that before. My friend Josh, he's he's a lifelong John Prine fan, and met him in line uh, at the first record store drop, and he got the only box set that my store got. So I had the record store. I found out they ordered them. They put the same albums that are in that box set, put them out separately, and so I've ordered them, and I have two of the four so far. I don't know what's going on with the other ones, but I'll get them eventually. So that's my first one. Second one, we have a quarantine buy, and although my area, yes, did get partly shut down and everything, as far as in quarantine, we did, the restaurants and most small businesses, but I work in healthcare, so I have never stopped. I've been working all the way through, so I didn't really, have anything. I didn't pick up any albums um, online. I looked through my history, trying to figure out which one I bought back then, at the beginning of the shutdown and everything, and it looks like I didn't buy anything. Um, but so what I chose is one of the ones from the first record store drop, and that was The Cure, and I showed this one. This one's Blood Flowers picture disc. This is a fantastic album. I was really glad to get this. Um, so that's what I'm considering for my quarantine buy. Three, an LP that you want to find in 2021. There's still so many, and I was all over the place in my thought process on this, but basically, if I can find any original, what I call classic alternative, like the Smiths, Depeche Mode, uh, let me see, The Cure, obviously, uh, Ultravox, also Susie and the Banshees, uh, all kinds of stuff like that. If I could find anything, it's really difficult in my area. Obviously, I'm in Kentucky, and the a rural area of Kentucky. Those sorts of groups obviously were not big in this area at that time. Um, so it's tough to come by. But if I'm able to start traveling again, look in other record stores in other areas and cities and things, maybe I'll come across it. Maybe somehow somebody will unearth a collection from somewhere. So that's what I'm looking for, is any of that stuff from the 80s, basically. 80s new wave, 80s, alternative kind of stuff. Uh, Let me see, a box set. I don't have many box sets. I only have two, and one I'm already showed, so I wanted to show a different one. That's the Bruce Springsteen box set, which a lot of people have. This one, like I said, I got into John Prine a lot this year, so I was able to get the second, box set, which is it has the Asylum albums, and I'll show you those real quick. There's 3 in this. That is Pink Cadillac, Storm Windows, and Bruised Orange. And if I remember correctly, I think no, it's just regular black vinyl. I couldn't remember if there was colored vinyl or not. I played them, and of course loved them all, but they are not colored vinyl. So glad to get that box set. The concept album, number 5, and I chose Alan Parsons Project, I, Robot, for this one. I have several Alan Parsons projects and project albums, and I like them. My wife doesn't like them, so I don't get to play them nearly as much as I want, but this is the one. And I actually spun this one before shooting this video, just to enjoy it again. We are on number 6, an album where the group changed directions. This one was a little bit tough for me, but what I chose was Beastie Boys, their second album, Paul's Boutique, and this is a reissue. This is excuse me. This was quite a bit different from License to Ill, their first, which was, a lot of party songs, and this has, I feel, a lot better lyrics, and the sampling, they really just went crazy on this, and it's fantastic. I like this album. I like them both, obviously, but this is a very interesting album, and a great one if you don't have it already. White Label Promo. I thought that I had one, and I could not remember which one it was. I don't look for that. That's not a big deal for me. But I finally found it at the very, very end, and I'm still not even sure if this counts, but I believe it is. This is the Edgar Winter album. When I looked up the code in Discogs, it says promo, and it says promo right on it, and it's a white label, but it's not like the ones I've seen before, where it says white label promo right on it. But this says demonstration, not for sale, and like I said, the listing list it as a promo, so that's the best I've got. I thought I had one more, but I could not for the life of me remember what it was, and I'm not looking through pulling on my album now, looking sorry, trying to figure out which one it was. Alrighty, moving on. 8, a compilation album. I have a lot of compilation albums. They've just come along with the albums that I've picked up. And in the beginning, I only shopped in the dollar bin. And so there's obviously a lot of compilations in there. And for me, that was a way to get a lot of good songs all on one album, like kind of greatest hits, obviously. And it was kind of a good sampler, a good way to get into it. And then as I've evolved in my record buying, wanting to get the entire albums and things, I don't pick up nearly as many as I used to. But this is one that was included in some collection. I don't remember exactly where I got this one, but it has a lot of good songs on it. This is Dick Clark, 20 Years of Rock and Roll. And it's a double album set. And I'll just list a few of them. We have, let's see, Bill Haley, Rock Around the Clock. Johnny Cash, I Walk the Line. Fats Domino, I'm Walking. Jerry Lee Lewis, Whole Lot of Shaking Going On. Let's see, Brenda Lee, Sweet Nothings. And Louie Louie from the Kingsmen. Curtis Mayfield, Superfly. Otis Redding, Dock of the Bay. Van Morrison, Brown Eyed Girl. I mean, it's got, some fantastic songs on it. So, and an album with a story behind it. So, the story behind this is I, along with actually my friend Tony, told me about a friend of his who used to have an antique shop, and they closed that business down. And I don't know if they built this building to house everything that they had left over. They didn't. I don't know why they closed or whatever, but they're elderly, so they have a very large building, 2-story building, and a garage full of the stuff that they still had from their antique store. Like most people, when they're going out of business, they just try to sell the stuff and just get rid of it. Well, this guy, he is a self-professed hoarder and lifelong collector, and is still buying stuff, even though he doesn't have the store. Anyway, so my friend Tony told me that this guy has like 7 or 8,000 albums, and we could come and look through them. And I mean, of course, my mind, I'm like, when can we go? When can we go? I was just like, the possibilities of what could be in that. And I'm thinking, this is gonna be great. And so we went, and it's in like I said, we're in a rural area. This area has absolutely no cell phone coverage. I know some of you city folk have no idea what I'm talking about, but really, there's a lot of us that actually had that problem. No cell coverage. The reason why that's important is because I couldn't look at Discogs. I couldn't look up, because I'm still new to this. I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of, like a lot of you guys have. I have not been collecting albums for years and years and years. It's just been, several years for me, not 30, like Tales from the Crate, and not like some of you, lifelong, never quit, like my friend Tony. But anyway, so we went, and what we did was, there was me, my friend Tony, and Chad, and the three of us, and we decided to just kind of go and look through our area and just pick out what we could find. And we know, generally speaking, what each other likes. We don't know everything, obviously, or what each other needs and everything, but we did the best we could with that many records. We didn't think we were going to try to get through them all, but we were all kind of eager to see what was in there, and just like, maybe that Grail is in the bottom of that stack. And unfortunately, that was the bad news. They were all stacked. They were stacked this way, and I mean, it gave me a pain in my stomach when I first saw it. But I was like, well, I'll look and we'll see what happens. And we looked; they're actually in decent shape. I mean, I don't know if it's just because they, I don't know how, but they're not warped. Um, so anyway, it's a long way to get there, but I found the Doors, L.A. Woman, in my stack, and I kept looking, and found another Doors, L.A. Woman. I didn't know which one to get. I didn't know which one was going to be the better uh, version, or whatever. Which one sounds better? Which one's worth more? Um, Not that I'm trying to sell these, because I've got them both. Obviously, I'm keeping them both. This one's on Electra. So Chad says, I'd get them both. We'll figure it out later. And so the price was right. I went ahead and got them both. So that's my story behind that one. Looks like we have... Okay, number 10 we are on. An album that needs a vinyl pressing. This one I had a tough time with, and I actually didn't come up with anything. So I'm going to move on. I don't know. I don't know what is... There are so many albums that I still want that I don't even know what's already been pressed and what has not. So, sorry. That's the only one I think that I didn't come up with something. Number 11, a common and an uncommon album. So, a common. Okay, I've watched several of your submissions, and I didn't see anybody post this one, but I'll bite the bullet. A common. I've seen this. Every store. There's actually a store in Lexington that has this. I think I counted, there was 20 wide side by side on the wall, and 5 tall, I think, maybe 6, all the way across. I thought that was rather comical. That's the common, and a not so common. How about this one? Leonard Nimoy, The Way I Feel. It's interesting, and the reason I have it is because I'm a Star Wars, Star Trek fan. Leonard Nimoy, obviously. And I don't know, I mean, he actually has a good voice. It's folk. I listen to it. It's spoken word. He does some covers of popular songs. I remember If I Had a Hammer, that was one. And then he also has Sunny. And it was funny because as I was playing this, my wife walked in and she heard him singing Sunny, and she goes, I like the other version better. And it's true. I mean, the original is definitely much better. Actually, I got that right over there. Anyway, I'm rambling. Okay, what do we have? We're on 11, 12. An EP. I have Billie Eilish, her first recording. It's got this. I really enjoy this. This is really good. Copycat, Bellyache, Ocean Eyes. That was her song that really got her noticed before she blew up like she has now. The girl group. How about Diana Ross and the Supremes? This is the anthology. Let me see. Stop in the Name of Love. You Keep Me Hanging On. Reflections. Oh, Where Did Our Love Go? I think it opens up like 30 times. It does. I guess they each get their own. That's fair. I don't know how well that showed up on there, since I couldn't see. An album cover you love. Star Wars. I collect Star Wars. I love Star Wars, so it goes hand in hand. Okay, an album which you've listened to the most. I'm not sure if this really is the one that I've listened to the most, but I've definitely listened to it a lot. And not just the album, but I had the CD, and I've spoken about it before in previous videos, but I've listened to this Andreas Vollenweider, White Winds. This is absolutely fantastic. It's beautiful music. He is just talented. It really just makes you daydream and just imagine. It is just beautiful music. I put it on a lot of Sunday mornings while we're getting ready for church. I don't want to put on rock and roll and a lot of stuff with, lyrics or something. So this is instrumental and just try to nice soothing atmosphere as we're all getting ready, having breakfast, whatever. So I have listened to it quite a lot. An album you had to get an original. The OG. Since this was on apparently everybody's list on one of the all-time greatest albums, I had to get Pet Sounds, the Beach Boys. And this is the mono, I believe. I don't recall. I think it is. I can't tell if it says it on here. I know somewhere I thought it. Anyway, yes. It says mono on it. Probably right over here too. Well, anyway. Does it matter? Yes, it does, I know. The last album you purchased. Okay, I actually purchased one. It's in the mail. I tracked it. It was supposed to be delivered today. As you know, mail's still not running correctly. It did not arrive today. But I purchased one not long ago. And this one is the one that I have in my hand. So that's the soundtrack to Interstellar. If you've seen this movie and you know the music, or if you have this album, I hope that you appreciate it. This is, to me, Hans Zimmer is a master. He makes amazing music, life-changing to me. I mean, that's my opinion. He has some music that I want played at my memorial, and there's some music on this album, and the one that I am waiting on, which is the soundtrack to Inception, which is also by Hans Zimmer. Okay, an album that they don't get, but you do. And I was struggling on this one until I watched Chris Proffi's, and he said, "Who's they?" He goes, "For him, he chose his kids." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, that'll work." So I'm copying him. So thanks, Chris. And that'll be my kids. My kids don't really get. They like, or they tolerate a little bit of his music, but they don't really get him yet. I'm hoping that they do. I hope that they will come around. And that is my man Bruce Springsteen. And it's not just this album. They don't like much of his music at all. They, eye roll, groan when I make them listen to it when we're driving or something, and they just don't. I don't know. I personally think that you have to have some real life experience. I think you have to have gone through some things before you can truly appreciate Bruce. Um, and because I didn't, not definitely not when I was their age, but I have like it was just like it blew my mind when I rediscovered him. Um, so that's who I really get, and my girls don't. A punk album. I chose Sandinista by The Clash. This is I'm not a big punk fan, uh, but I do like The Clash, and hope to get more of them. I have two of their albums, and unfortunately, not even London Calling yet. I know it's out there, but I'm just kind of it's one of those ones I'm waiting for. But that's what I chose. Really, really good album. I enjoyed that. Favorite 2020 reissue. This is number 20, last one. This is one that, this is a group that I've kind of been reluctant to share. I have several of their albums, and the reason why is because I am still looking for a lot. I would love to find some of their original stuff. Um, I only have one original, I believe, and I they're hard to come by. A lot of people actually, I don't think anybody that I've ever mentioned them to has ever heard of them before. Let me know if any of you have already heard of this group um, before and what you think of them. This is Cubby and the Blizzards, and this album is, I believe it came out in '69. Um, the original Apple Knockers Flophouse. This is a Dutch blues group, and they are still actually it's not the entire same lineup that they originally had. This is beautiful re-release on blue. I love that color. I heard this group in a record store early on when I first started getting records. And my wife and I both, we were on opposite sides of the store looking, just going through. And when we came back together to show what we had found, I said, "Have you been listening to this group?" I said, "Who is this? Do you know who that is?" And she didn't know who it was. So she goes, we both said, "I really like them though." I said, "I'm gonna go see if I can buy this. I want to see how much it is." And went and talked to the guy, and he said it was like, I cannot remember which album it was, unfortunately, but he wanted like $25, and at the time, I was spending $2 and $3 on records, and the most I think I'd ever spent was like $10 on a record at that time. This is, like I said, early on when I was shopping out of the dollar bins and everything, and I just thought it was nonsense. There's no way I'm going to pay that. And when he said that, I was like, oh, it's out of my range. And I regret that. That is the one that got away. So now I'm basically just trying to get all their albums until I can get the one that I know that I heard. I don't know. I cannot remember what it was because it was like as soon as he told me, it was like I put it out of my mind. I remembered the group for a little while right after, and my wife and I had to, when I decided I wanted to try and find them again, uh, we had to really, think hard on who it was, because I didn't write it down or anything. But we finally figured it out, and I started trying to find their albums. And anytime that they have a reissue, which they're starting to do now on their old ones, I'm picking those up. And so like I said, the reason I was reluctant is because I'm afraid one of you guys are going to snatch it up with the one that I want. Because once you listen to them, if you like blues at all, you're going to like them. So anyway, I probably shouldn't have told you, but I did anyway. I love you guys. All right. And gals. All right. That's my submission. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making the video. Hopefully I will be more regular on this. And I will catch you on the flip side.